the Merlin Times, bridging the gap with a sword on our back. If you appreciate this content, please subscribe. Now on with the interview.
All right, so I am Danny the Nyan, or just Danny. Some people call me different things. I've been called the King of Morinker, but I am the leader of MKRG. I've been playing MMOs for over a decade, leading guilds for over a decade. We started out in the early days of Arcage as HRG, and essentially we were the group that went around and contested all the bullies on every server. So, you'd get your Kodo Alliance, the big Zergs.
Okay.
We would hop onto that server, fight them until they hopped off to the other Fresh Start server, so on and so forth. It was only after Henrik went live with the open stress test that we discovered Mortal Online 2. And I came over here with about five guys. I realistically wasn't expecting anything serious out of Mortal. Um, but once we got into the game, the guild, we went under the name HRG again. But instead of being Harani's Royal Guard like it was in Arcade, we decided to name it Hispalia's Royal Guard. We essentially took over the Grand Pass area. We had a little bit of an alliance at the time. Unfortunately, there was some betrayal, all sorts of drama early on in an MMO. Um, we ended up working our way down to the jungle for a little bit until we figured out what we wanted to do. It was at that point that I had a discussion with the guild, and we decided that we wanted to get a castle, and we didn't care how we got a castle, but we would own a castle. Um, a lot of politics, and everybody hears the stories and the rumors on how we got it, but essentially we managed to take Morinker Castle. And
Who owned it before? Did anyone own it before you guys got it?
yes, so Wolfpack owned the castle, but Wolfpack actually had just lost the rest of their players, and Jonah was no longer playing Mortal. So essentially we got him to have LGM traded over to us. Long story short, but we continue to grind. We had a lot of enemies out here early on, like Empire. We had a couple other guilds essentially try to push us out of the area, and we just continued to fight and fight and fight to try to maintain control over the area. Um, Once we got over here, we decided that the Hispalia Royal Guard tag doesn't really make sense because we're living out of Morinker. We're trying to take over the Morinker area. So we essentially rebranded the guild into Morinker Royal Guard. With that, we decided to try to fight off any propaganda against us that were, X, Y, and Z. And we removed a lot of the people who didn't share the same values of where we wanted to go as a guild. From there, we set out the main goal of just taking over the entire Morinker area. And to be honest, early on, it was really tough. We had a handful of guys. Our enemies were double in the numbers, and coming from the west side of the map over to the east side of the map, the quality of player that you experience on this side of the map is significantly greater than what you experience on the other side, just because of the amount of material and content that you're contesting on a regular basis. It kind of forces you to have to become a better player to survive over here.
And Kodo just completely dominates the west side as well.
So Kodo's a
Uh,
good group. Cathara's been around for, a decade and Mortal on and off. But
you said you fought them in another game, right?
um,
Like earlier, I think you may have mentioned that, or maybe I mixed
no,
that
no,
up when we
no.
were talking about
We
that.
we we fought other groups in other games. The Kodo like groups where they just have big Zergs, right? Like there was Zen of
Understood.
Onslaught, Warrior Poets,
Got you.
TTFK. Those
Okay.
groups essentially they ran around with the numbers, but didn't have the best quality of players. And I've even talked.
So you're the Zergs.
Yes, I've even talked to Qatar himself, and he understands that he has some good players, but realistically, they rely off that player count as opposed to the skill of the individual player. As opposed to a lot of the guilds out here that you'll find, it's a rough world out here. It's a different game style because if you aren't good, you get pushed out real quick.
Yeah, that's living in Vada. We the conversation, it always comes up. What's going on over here? Like you guys are constantly fighting. Not just you guys, but like you said, this whole area of the map is just like a little bit north of you or right around here is where all the rats have lived, right?
Yeah,
And they're just like you're like constantly fighting like all the time.
we acquired the keep about 6 months into the game, and then since then we have been in a nonstop war with almost every single guild in the area that's not allied with us. I love this game. Take a guess how many hours I have in this game.
Oh man, think you've been playing this MO2 for over 2 years, right?
Yes, I log on almost every single day.
My guess is gonna be like 7,000 hours.
Actually, you got it right on the nose. I have just about 7,000.
Holy shit. I should get a prize for that. So this will be a follow-up question to something you said. So the guild had a split because you're, you know, you're the leader of that guild, and you had a host of people that were in line with you, and you had people that were wanting to go another direction, or you wanted to go another direction. Either way, there was a split. Um, and you mentioned that you guys had certain values. So I would like to know what your values are. Like, what is the goal of MKRG? What do you guys hope to accomplish, and what are your values?
So there's a lot of choices when you join Mortal, right? You can go try to join Content or Levia and try to be one of the big sweaty guys that's on 24/7, constantly doing Rouser Dungeon or Minnows. You can go join Kodo and run around with the Zerg. We simply just offer another alternative where you can be decent at PvP, where we can sometimes go contest Content and Levia. Um, but we also just we don't force you to be super sweaty, right? You can play at your own pace. We win most of the fights that we do. Obviously, we lose fights to those top tier guys. If we go down to GK, we're gonna get wiped by Carnimata, right? It is what it is because we don't have that force. But not to throw shade at any other group, Unbroken comes over here and picks a fight. I mean, it's not going to be much of a fight, and it's not even just trying to talk trash. We just have
Yeah,
a high level of skill on an individual level, um, to where we develop our players, we train them, we just focus on creating a good environment for all of our players. And at the end of the day, we're all just friends, right? We log on, we play with each other every day. I spend 10, 15 hours a day playing Mortal. I am just looking for a group that I can have a great time with and make sure that those players that are playing with me can have a great time.
that's good. That's like the most important part, right? Is the friendship of the people spend your time with.
My name is Millie, and I am, I guess, a noble rank in the guild, which would be considered like an upper officer. I do a lot of clerical work, right, and manage the Discord, and just have my finger in all of operations, kind of make sure that everything is up to our standard in a sense, making sure that we are staying on a proper path and that we're not just going off in some random directions and not having a vision for the guild and a vision for what we want to be achieving.
Sound a lot like who I wanted to be when I was in a guild.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty cushy position. It's pretty cushy. But yeah,
Job
yeah,
security.
good. I do have some solid job security, that's for sure. But yeah, I've been playing Mortal for a long time. Played Mortal 1. The way I met Danny was me and a couple of my buddies who played Mortal 1 came to Mortal 2, and we were playing out of the Tindrum area, just kind of like feeling it out, seeing where we wanted to plop our houses down and stuff. And we went up into the Granum Pass area to the north towards Helspia, and just threw down a stronghold where we thought was cool. And we had money saved up, so it basically instantly tier 3'd it. And in that time, I guess this was where Danny and his guild and the alliance that he was with was living. And so I kind of stumbled upon him that way. I was just mining one day, and we just started talking. And we were going about our own way. We wanted to just kind of do our own thing, and just kind of went on playing. And then we took a break as the collective that we were playing with, and then came back. And Danny had messaged me and was just like, "Hey man, are you guys back?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, we're coming back. It's been like 6 months." And he was like, "Listen, man, I got a keep. I'm looking for more people. Like, do you guys want to join up with us?" And the group that I was playing with, like a couple of us had come back, like my close friends, but not the guild that we were building. We were just like, and we're older now, right? Like I got kids, and so do most of my buddies that we were playing with, and we just don't have the time to run a guild. So we joined up with Danny, and that's pretty much where we've been. When we joined up with Danny, Danny had this keep and 6 guys and 1 steel set to share between us. You know what I mean? it was hard times, and it was just like we built it all up. I got to give it to Danny. He really does persevere and continues on the grind and stays logged in and stays positive and really pushes, to build something great.
Yeah, I got that sense. I got that sense from him as well. So speaking of Danny, the leader of your guild, what do you think makes him a good leader?
Honestly, I think it's just how level-headed he is. It's one of those things where no matter what we get thrown at us, whether we get our asses beat, whether, uh, you know, all the slander, propaganda, whatever, comes out against him, against our guild, he's always level-headed and he's always positive and he's always pushing forward. And, I think that's the major reason why I stuck around and brought my friends in and more people into this guild, because, he's
And how long has that been now?
Shoot, me and Vel were just talking about it the other day. I think I've been with Danny for the better part of a year now.
Time flies, right?
Yeah, it really does. It really does. We were talking about it in chat the other day, and I was like, "Holy crap! It's really been that long. It's been a while. Absolutely."
So I know you said you have your fingers and a lot of pies or whatever, you make sure things are running smooth. Can you tell me like more about MKRG's like government structure? Like from the top down, like how does it, how does power work? Is it a democracy? Is there a dictatorship? Like what different bodies of, what different titles, official titles you have that people do? You said you do clerical work. Is there more different functions like that people do?
Yeah, I mean, we have. So I mean, Danny is the king, right? I guess in the best sense of things. Kind of what he says goes, but it's not any kind of dictatorship or where it's some kind of forced. This is what I'm doing. It is always brought up to the officers, and um, what kind of he'll throw ideas at us like, "Hey, I'm thinking of doing this. I'm trying to make this work. Like, what do you guys think? Is this going to be a good idea?" And then that trickles down to kind of the knights and the militias of the guild. This is kind of what we're doing. This is the direction that we're heading. If like me and a couple other guys who are in the officer roles, kind of feel like, "Hey, Danny, that might not be a good idea," he's receptive to it. He learned, he doesn't just sit there and just say, "No, no, no, this is what we're fucking doing because I fucking said so." And
That's good. And also what you said, so that those talks also trickle down throughout your ranks, right? Not just they're not just sealed between the officer chat. Like some of that stuff goes down before it ever becomes, yeah, that's what we're doing.
yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
Right?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's
So people know what you're actually trying to do.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it comes down to, a couple things get bounced off the officers, and then if that seems like it's a good idea and we feel like we need more input from the guild or the more of the members, we'll throw it that way and see, hey, what do you guys think as a, your opinion as a collective? Should we be doing this? Not everything does. Some things just, get passed without, talking to the lower people or the lower members. But it is
Not
very
everyone
much,
has time to
yeah,
hear
not
every single
everybody has
thing.
time to hear and not everybody really
Yeah.
needs to. I mean, some stuff, it's, small fry stuff. It doesn't matter. But yeah, if it's something important, like, what we're moving forward and doing as an alliance or as a group or what we need to be doing as a collective to further our goals, that, all gets brought down.
Okay. Well, it's good that just strike a balance between like having some, you definitely every government, right? Even in real life, there are things that the general population doesn't need to be a part of every decision that we make. That would be crazy,
Sure.
right? but it's good to have some, some information that does go down before it is made a decision. So it seems like you guys are striking a balance in some way. So that's one thing I wanted to, learn about.
Yeah. I don't
Uh,
think that we have any members that feel like they're isolated or ignored. If you know what I mean. Everybody has a
yeah.
chance to speak up if they think things are going good or bad.
Okay. So how do you recognize and promote members who kind of prove their dedication to the guild?
Sorry. Oh, and promote. Sorry, I misheard you. And promote. Well, really, it's the way we started out is we have two guilds. We have the Morincore Militia, and then we have the Morincore Royal Guard. And basically, everybody goes into the militia first, and we take a lot of new players. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the upper end guilds, like they avoid new players. And something that we do that I think is very important for this game is we will take people fresh out of Haven and we'll bring them here and we'll kit them and we'll teach them and we'll spend our time. And a lot of that time, or a lot of times, that time is wasted, right? Because they'll leave, they'll quit the game, whatever, right? It just, it happens. But it is something that is, I find, very important to the game itself, and that is something that we do is we bring in a lot of new players. If somebody's brand new and has no idea and has been playing this game for fucking 30 minutes and just needs help and needs, to be, brought into a community, because let's be honest, playing this game as a solo is fucking rough. We do that, and I think it's great. And I think that's a lot of just like Danny rubbing off on me, because me as a veteran player, like I fucking can't stand it sometimes. You know what I mean? Because you'll spend hours and hours teaching somebody stuff and spending gold on them, and at the end of the day, they go, "Yeah, cool, thanks guys, I'll see you fucking later." You know what I mean? but
Yeah, that does suck.
but it is what it is, and I'm glad that we do it. And so a lot of our thing is everybody goes into the militia, and the way that they prove themselves is they go from being noob to being self-sufficient, getting better at combat, being active is a huge one. Like if you're here, you're doing stuff with the guild. If you're getting better, if you're being self-sufficient, you're farming your own mats, you're helping, you're contributing. That's how you move up in the guild. You know, there's not really anything crazy about it. It's just activity and becoming better at the game. We don't have any kind of crazy stringent requirements or anything like that. It's just if you want to be here, great, be here. If you want to fucking help and help us be better, great, and you'll get more power in the guild.
So it's called the militia. It gives me like a kind of a military feel. Like they come in, they just learn about combat and the basics of the game. Like they just get drafted into like a military. Is it kind of like
No, not
that? Like,
really. It's just the militia, because we are the royal guard, right? So then below that, right, you would have the
mm-hmm.
militia in any kind of, in any kingdom, right? And I guess that's the sense that we play on is, right, this is our kingdom, this is our castle. We are the royal guard of the city and of this castle, of this land, and the people of this city, right, are the militia, because that's what a militia is. It's your standard farmer, it's your standard, shopkeeper. When shit hits the fan, they all grab a pitchfork and they form a militia. And so that's what it is. They're the militia of this area. And as they, progress and become better at the game and become more active and contribute to the land, they get promoted into a knight. And that's, where they move from the militia guild into the MKRG guild.
That's a cool way to handle that, honestly. Right? Instead of having like a one guild and like the first members, as soon as you join, you're just in the guild, but you're at the bottom of the rung. You're just like in this like starter guild almost to see if this is the right place
Yeah,
for
exactly. And it's when you're in the militia, there's nothing expected of you, right? Like if you play once a week and you don't really want to play with us, like that's fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's obviously we prefer that you play with us and stuff. But I mean, if you're not active or anything at all, then we'll probably tell you, hey, it's just not working out because we never see you. So there's really no point. But yeah, as the militia, you're just kind of expected to get online and do whatever you want. Show up for events and run spider queens and trolls and whatever else we're doing, if you want to do that, right? Whereas when you get into MKRG and get a night tag, it's more of a hey, you need to help with contributing to the funds and contributing to the coffers in terms of materials and stuff like that, so that we have the materials to to kit everybody out, including the militia. It just gives you more of a responsibility with the guild. Whereas the militia is just like yeah man, come play, have fun. We'll gear you up and make sure that you're having a good time, and if you want more, there's more. Well, I mean, we were talking earlier and kind of answered the question of what kind of brought you onto this. How are you enjoying it?
The journalism
Well,
I'm
the
love
journalism aspect, the community aspect, right? I know you were saying that like sometimes you don't get killed, people recognize you and things like that. Like, how are you enjoying meeting the different guilds and the different play styles or leadership styles of Nave, and just kind of how you're enjoying it?
No, again, yeah, I've really been enjoying the journalism and meeting the different guilds and seeing how different guilds operate and how they govern themselves and the atmosphere and all that. And I love that, everyone's been really receptive. And even starting around where I live now, I'm starting to bump into more and more people who are starting to recognize me, and they just don't attack me now. It's just, I mean, they're like, save the anchor man. Like if someone attacks me, they don't like it. They'll fucking attack that person for me. It's just like, I don't even ask because I don't want, I don't want to do that. I want to be like a peaceful character now as much as possible. I used to be a murderer, I'm not gonna lie.
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, we all were.
Yeah, right. But I was like, that probably won't work too well with this profession I've chosen. Um, but yeah, that's something I've always wanted to do is sit in the be fully engrossed in the politics of the game, and within different guilds, who knows how things operate, right? Maybe you can more in some guilds than others depending on what your rank is and how they run it. But in the guild I was in at the time, you really just weren't getting a lot of the political things that were going on. And I wanted to, I found, like, as I thought I was away from the game for a year, and I was like, how can I approach that? How can I get access to that and give other people access to it? Because there's other people who are very interested in the politics of the game. And then that's how I started thinking about this. I was like, man, I wish somebody was doing like something like a journalism thing or just covering the politics of the happenings of the world or something. So, and I was like, well, why don't I just do it? And I logged back in the game and I was like, let's just do it.
Yeah, man. In MO1, that was a lot of things. Like if you go through the MO1 forums, you will find paragraphs and paragraphs of history of things that we achieved in the game, right? The wars that are happening, the politics, the discoveries, all of it. And and another thing that I was talking about to you is when we had the written books in game, and people really did. They filled them out. You put them on the market, and people could buy them for like a couple cuprum, and you'd have those books, and in it was the written history that someone else, another player, wrote, and it was really cool. It was really cool.
That's amazing. I that's one of the projects I actually want to do is make like a library or be part of one. Like again, I can only do so much, but I I will start bringing these things up because I hope that people that also want to do something like that, you just start coming together and you just collaborate and start making these things happen. Because it would be great if that was in the game, but since it's not, we have ways to do that, right? We can make documents in Discord or in Google Docs or whatever, and just start pulling information. Uh, I think that would be amazing. Like if people started doing that, and it just if you have an interest in it, just start. If you have a special interest in this game and things you want to do, just start doing it. Just
This is pretty much our little main village. We're actually on TC gonna make this big player city.
give me like your idea for like this
Yeah,
this
yeah.
city around your keep.
Well, essentially, after TC launch, our one of our biggest goals is going to be developing this into a pretty much a central trade hub, to where you don't have to go through the chokes of MK and get ganked by a Murda or any of the other rats hiding, looking to, Ellie bomb you or do any sort of cheesy tactic. Essentially, we'll welcome all sorts of players over here that want to be involved with commerce, and there'll be a, NAP between those guilds that are doing commerce within our zone. The only guilds we're going to exclude are, I'm not going to throw out any names because I don't want to spread rumors or anything, but the guilds that are caught cheating on a regular basis or just are extremely hostile against us are the only ones we're not looking to work with.
Fair.
But we plan to have everything. We'll have a player bank, guards, allow people to farm the Rhizar camps and the trolls and everything. As long as people aren't trying to take the content from our players, they're more than welcome to come over here and enjoy what this zone of the map has to offer.
Nice. So you want this all like right here in this area where these buildings are.
Yes, we're gonna push down further towards the water by the Kelks Falls, and then also pick guards there. We can
All
actually
right,
try
let's
it in
go
that
that way
way.
then.
We plan to make the Kelks Falls a safe zone where players can mine and essentially, buy, sell, trade Kelks products, just because this is one of the key spots to export some of your Kelks products from. Essentially, this zone actually has all three nodes to make steel out of. And you got the half Zero nodes spread all over the place. You got Granum all around the keep, and then over by the rivers are all filled with Kelps. So anybody who's looking to get involved in making steel, tongue steel, this is like a perfect zone for you.
And you guys are gonna be pumping tongue still out, aren't you?
We already are. I know a lot of people try to accuse me of a lot of things because we have amassed quite a big surplus of wealth. I get called, an arm tier and all this stuff, but from someone who has 7,000
That's why you
hours,
have the credit cards on your
yeah,
swords, right?
yeah, someone who has 7,000 hours into the game, you would expect that I have a pretty nice little nest egg that I've built up over the last couple years.
Yeah, I mean, some people just don't get that, and even if they don't know of the hours, it just different guilds have different standards, right? And if they're not efficient, in what they're doing, they're just not gonna understand. Like if you streamline your pipeline, that you could just pump shit out. You can pump gold out. You can pump out anything as long as someone's taking the time to organize everything. You can just get that stuff rolling. So
Yeah, yeah. Once you have knowledge is the key for everything in this game. We could essentially lose everything on TC to like Cardimado, so right. And a week later we'll be back because we have the knowledge to rebuild and we have the dedicated loyal players that, the castle means nothing to us. It's just a cool little piece of content that we have to hold on to. But there's way
it's a
more.
POI.
Yeah, yeah, essentially. If anything, I feel like the castle is just a ball and chain on my leg to where I'm stuck to this zone because I have to defend the castle.
Yep. And it sucks your gold dry.
We generate enough income to make it worth the while, but so
Yeah.
this is currently under control of Empire, and we plan on sieging this all down. Empire has a rule. If you're not Empire, they're gonna kill you.
All right. So all this uh isn't gonna last long if you have your way. Is what you're saying.
Going off of our history with, what we've had with Empire, unless they want to come to the table with peace, this is going to be gone at some point after TC.
So would you expand into this? Because this is a beautiful piece of land here. Honestly, look at that waterfall. Look at this river.
You've spoke to some of the other Black Leader guilds or the Black Lotus leadership guilds. Um,
Low.
yeah, low, and you understand like what they're trying to do. We're trying to do the same thing. We're trying to make the center of the map a friendly zone for those players who, again, want the alternative route where I want to go PvP with some good PvP players, but I don't want to be told by John Tree that I need to be in Riser Dungeon 6 days a week or else I can't be in their guild. We want to make a friendly area where all players could say, "All right, well, I got 2 nights a week. This group, I can go run with them. They're going to win 90% of the fights they get into. I'm going to go help out in that territory to protect it because this territory will fall under siege. There will be players who want to deny us what we want to build. Uh, but I believe, there's enough players out there that have that mindset of, I want to have a stake in the game and actually build something and not just fall under Kodo or Carnimata or X, Y, and Z guild that just rules with an iron fist.
Gotcha. So you said the center of the map. So that's as far as like let's call it sovereignty. Is that where you would naturally want it to end? Like you wouldn't want to like try to push that border further than where you've already kind of established between uh let's say Black Lotus, right? You got Integrity Keep right smack dab in the middle of the map, like just outside of Vada, and we're up here, we're over here in MK, and then there's low on Sausage. So that's like a pretty good chunk of land in the center. You think that's like the perfect amount of space to just keep and maintain that, or do you see it going beyond that? Like,
So obviously everything's fluid. I love Integrity. I'm going to fight tooth and nail to help Integrity keep their castle. But Integrity is facing down the barrel of a very large Kodo shotgun. And,
yep.
it's TC. We might lose our keep one day. Any of our allies might lose their keeps. We have to keep that in mind. But right now, everything between Integrity Keep to MK Keep is Black Lotus territory, and we just want to develop that as much as possible. But our ultimate goal is to end up north and to be fighting those other groups. Um, Mainly the people, like I said, who historically get caught cheating every time there's a ban wave that control the North. We want to be those the group that pushes on the bullies and the bad guys. We aren't the good guys, but we aren't the bad guys.
So the North, the enemies in the North are more of a priority to you than Kodo. Like
Yeah,
you mainly want to keep them off your back, maybe through other means, and then deal with the North. Is that
I
accurate?
I have no need to fight Cathara over Granum or over Sabura and Cuprum products in the Sands, right? As well as I have the mutual respect of he's been leading a guild for about a decade. There's no need for that war. It wouldn't be productive, especially since both groups have the same enemies, for us to be butting heads over rocks when we could be pushing up north and trying to take content like Ultimeki and Riser, both Riser dungeons and Tefra, and allow more guilds besides those couple guilds that have a chokehold on it, allowing more groups to actually farm. Um, Run Carney did this thing a couple months back with Harbingers and Unbroken and all that, where they were protecting the Tefra crater, and any guild who wanted to go there and be peaceful could go there and mine. And it was working for a little bit, but obviously Cardimata has a lot of power, and it was hard for them to maintain that peace zone. We essentially want to do something like that. Now, obviously, that's planning 3, 4 years down the line. Um, in a game like Mortal, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we're gonna play our cards as they're dealt to us and use strategy to make our way up there. But that's our ultimate goal.
That's good. That's having that direction keeps everyone focused and moving forward. And no one's asking, what are we doing? We were talking a lot about alliances and stuff like that. Let's just go ahead and talk about your alliance, Black Lotus. Tell me about the formation of that alliance. Like, how did that come to be? And the name too. Like, who came up with that?
Um, so essentially, I've been leading guilds for a very long time, and I've been leading a lot of alliances. Well, coming into Mortal, like I told you in the start, I only had a handful of guys. I didn't have the power to start an alliance, nor did I have not only the power with just my guild, but the political weight and the reputation to really lead a large faction in the game. So we went and we joined a lot of other alliances, and a lot of those alliances ended up just stagnating. It was always all talk. We'd have these meetings. Hey, we're gonna go fight Carney up north, and blah 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 this, blah 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 that, and then it's like, well, my
Would you
guys.
mind mentioning some of the names of those
So we
alliances?
were part of the Northern Alliance with it was wolf sites and companions. That's where we met companions actually, which are now part of the Black Lotus. We valued integrity in there with us. There was a couple other ones, ES and then Malice. Essentially, being blunt about it, and excuse my language, but it was a shit show. It didn't go anywhere, but I was able to show my leadership to some of the guilds there and kind of built that reputation of, all right, maybe this guy is someone that we want to follow. He's a decent leader. I'm not going to say I'm the best leader ever, but I was able to show what I could do and build up a little bit more political currency with some of the guilds on the server. There was also a point where we were running with like $2 horde and running around with like angry unicorns. But roughly around when we decided to rebrand MKRG and kind of shift our focus, we decided that we didn't really want to be affiliated with guilds that are focused on farming the graveyard and griefing people, right? We more or less wanted to be a more serious PvP group, even though we may not be the best. Our goal is to get out there and actually, you know, be something. We don't have to be the best, but we're not the worst. So essentially, I just did a lot of politics, talked to a lot of leaders, told them what I was about, showed them some of the videos that we did, took them out on some fights, and naturally they were just about it. They said, "Hey, well, this guy, they're winning fights. Do we want to keep just running around? Yes, we get wins here and there, or can we pit our power all together and go take on groups like Carnimata, Content, Levia? And yes, we may only win 2 out of 3 times, but what other groups are winning 2 out of 3 times against those groups, you know?
No, I'm very much into like empire building, government, and all that shit. Politics, all that just amuses me, right? Because I said, yeah, I played Eve for a bit, and the gameplay, honestly, was shit. But the only thing, the thing that kept me was the relationships and the politics of it all. It's just so interesting. You just make your own little story, you know?
Well, and that's kind of what got me in the game, right? Like I said, I played a lot of Arcade, and Arcade was all about the politics and building your reputation. And in Arcade, I had a pretty incredible reputation because I played it, way more than I played this, and went a lot more hardcore into playing that game than I'm playing this currently. Um, so like I enjoy logging on and either being the most liked player by half the population or the most hated player by the other half, right? And then sometimes hearing some of the stuff that people come up with to try to slander me is also amusing, right? Because you get those people who say, "Oh, Danny just spends $1,000 a week to be successful in a video game," and it's like, well, in all reality, no, we just play 6, 7 days a week and we grind hard during those 6, 7 days a week.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, that's when you know you've become a mainstay or a staple of the game itself, your character, right? When, you know, people are taking the time to slander you, you got to be. That only happens to people who are, you know, big parts of a game, right? Or anything.
Well,
So,
it's
and you're
been
always gonna have that. You're never gonna be loved by everybody. So,
it's been said
and
before.
it seems like you are pretty humble about it. Like it doesn't seem like it gets to you at all, and
It's been said before that even bad publicity is good publicity. I've been, like I said, leading for about a decade now. I can get upset and let people, get what they want by making me quit the game because they say X, Y, and Z about me, or I can make them mad by being successful, building up my guild. It's really hard to lead a successful guild in Mortal. And the fact that we've come as far as we have with what we had to go up against in a nonstop state of war against players that, yes, they were better than us when we started fighting them, but that constant fighting allowed us to grow stronger and become more battle hardened that we're able to stand on our own. Nave is
forged in the fires of battle.
Yes, Nave is a very, very harsh world to persist in. But, again, there's alternative routes. You don't have to go sell your soul to a guild leader that's going to make you grind 20 hours a week so you can listen to every order that he tells you to listen to. And you're just part of the board. You just consume product, follow orders, consume product, follow orders, right? You talk to my guys and they're all happy, loyal. They're doing it. Everything they do is for the guild, but that's by their choice because of the environment and what we built up.
That's good. That's the way it should be, honestly. That's how you keep people happy. You let them do the things they want to do to help the guild.
Well, and it's pretty funny. It started as a joke by people calling me the King of Morinker. And now literally everybody in the alliance, everybody in the guild, without me even like saying anything, have just started calling me the King of Morinker. And it's like I didn't even want that title. It was just given to me because we came in, we took these lands and we're defending them for everybody who wants to live out of them.
That's cool. Yeah, that's the way. I mean, that's the way it should be. Those titles should be given, right? Like, it can start as a meme, right? But when people actually start just calling you that because they, you know, respect you as the leader, that's awesome. I do want to get back to it because I think we get. I know my horse thing that happened threw us off a little bit. So the formation of Black Lotus. Now you mentioned integrity was one of the. Did you say that was one of the first members? 'Cause you said something about them being in North Alliance with you guys or something like that. The
So
Northern Alliance.
we ran across Integrity, had some conversations with them, and then while we were part of the Northern Alliance, I was trying to take more of a strategic lead of the Northern Alliance because we saw the stagnation.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, I
Yep.
invited Integrity in, and we decided to grow the North American block of the Northern Alliance stronger, which was Integrity, Companions, MKRG, to where we were running content on a daily basis and building that cohesion and those bonds with each other. And it could have been anything, we just helped each other go and do logi runs or kill spiders and trolls or ultimeki. Essentially completing any and all content in the game, but doing it together so we know each other. We build those friendships and those bonds. And then from there, after the Northern Alliance just kind of fizzled out, you know, those bonds essentially allowed us to create something, to where we have a respectable alliance that, like, yes, I may be the leader of the alliance, but I take everybody's opinions and everybody's input and value in equally. And, I'm not just the big dick, I tell everybody what to do. There's times where I come out of my way and I profit nothing by helping my allies move 10 hours of lodging. But in order to be a successful alliance, you need to have that cohesion. You need to have that mutual respect to where it doesn't matter if you're a leader. You're a player in a bigger piece of the puzzle. We're not like an RP guild by any means. Yeah, they're loving it.
It
They're
does look
saying
good though. It does look
they're
good.
the,
Like,
the the true Brazilian bodyguards, they said in chat. So we're not an RP guild, but we do some funny RP, obviously. And
yeah,
like I said,
cut loose sometimes, right? Like,
yeah, my guys, like, they call me the king, and they treat me like I'm the king.
we're
So,
all
like,
RPing. Like that's one thing I will say in every interview if it comes up. When you're playing this game, there's a base level RP that is just happening, right? Because of the nature of this game. Like you're building territory, you're building your political relationship. That's RP. Because none of this exists outside of this game, right? So
yes,
it's
and like
you're yourself, right? You're not making a voice and pretend to be
the
someone you're not.
way,
But
yes, I'm not playing a persona like some players do, but I'm investing in the character of who I am in the world of Knave, and I built the reputation and I live that character's life in game while I'm playing, right? So yes, there is that level of RP where you got to kind of embrace the game a little bit and not take it too serious, right? It's a video game at the end of the day. We could lose everything we have, but as long as we have the knowledge and the players and the bonds and relations that we built since we started playing, the gold, the steel, chronite, ogmium, none of that matters. Because you can lose it and it doesn't matter because you can rebuild it and lose it again and rebuild it. It's really the biggest and best resource. There's two of them that you can have in this game is players and loyalty. That's all that matters. Everything else is just a given. If you're running around in bone tissue armor and that's all you got, hey, go fight people on your scale level and you'll get to where you want to be once you gain that knowledge and you gain that skill. But
now so the loyalty of players, and or did you mean more like reputation, like having a good reputation gives you loyalty?
It's a couple factors, right? Obviously, everybody, can build a negative reputation, but still have players loyal to them. But it's more of having those bonds, right? I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make sure my players are having a good time and that we're experiencing the game that we want to experience as a group, right? Obviously, my guys wouldn't be happy if I said, "Hey, let's all go to Tefra Crater every day and bash our head against walls as Cardimata slaughters us." Right. As opposed, I log on and I say, hey, what do we want to get into today? Right. Again, goes back to doing those adventures where,
Yeah, you're super active, so you're there with them, you know.
You build those bonds with those players because they play with you for 40 hours a week, right? Some people, they don't have families they interact with outside of the game. They don't have the social circles that some other players may have to where, this is all they have. So they log on, they play with someone who I see a lot of my players as my friends, right? My personal actual friends. To where like if I needed a favor or something, if they would be there for me, right? And I would be there for them if they needed something.
So we're talking about the formation of your alliance and how it was in the Northern Alliance, and then you decided to expand the northern part or the North America section of the Northern Alliance. I think you were saying, and how you forge bonds through interaction between guilds on a level that usually happens with only within a guild itself, right? Like within a guild, oh, sometimes your alliance will group up for like one event or maybe a big roam or something. But it sounded like you guys were trying to expand that into the alliance itself and make it a true alliance, really like a strong alliance. And I wanted to go more into that. When you made Black Lotus, what else did you do beyond that? That like, do you have like written anything that's kind of like written down agreements of like how the alliance functions and stuff like that in a similar way that a guild would function, right? You have like rules and how things operate. Is there anything like that you guys have?
Um, funny enough, no, actually. We have our general guild rules, right? That everybody kind of signs on the dotted line when you apply for the guild. Obviously, don't be racist, homophobic, sexist, just don't be an asshole. And you'll fit into this group. Well, essentially, we just did the same thing as what we were doing with our guild, but as an alliance, where our alliance is just one mega guild that we run our own tags. I could put in a ping right now, and I guarantee you 15 companions, six low, and if Integrity has some players on three, Integrity will show up within the next 20 minutes. Just because we see each other as one big group, but we also do our own thing in between. Because sometimes running with other groups, it gets a little messy, and you need to have your time to develop your own players. But for the most part, we just run off of the mindset of we know what we want to achieve and everybody has the freedom to do as they want. But in order to achieve those goals, we need to understand that we need to work together in a way that allows us to achieve those goals, right? If Cam pings, I'm going to bring 10 guys down there right now to go help him. Um, just because I see them as an extension of my guild, even though we're quote unquote allies, we're pretty much the same group.
And that's the mentality to have if you're building a true empire through an alliance.
Yeah, and Cam's well respected, and he's earned his title of King of Sausage Lake much in the same way as I have, right? He went there, he's fighting for control of it, and he got the respect of the locals there to dub himself as King of Sausage Lake, right? It's not we just show up and then say we decree that we're this X, Y, and Z.
How would you onboard a new guild into your alliance, and how's that handled like amongst the different guilds?
Okay, so we are currently actually looking into bringing in three new guilds into the alliance. We're looking at Ephemeral, we're looking at Orca, and we're looking at Iron Wolf. And essentially, what we do is same thing with anybody, right? You run with us, you show us what you're about. We see, you see what we're about. We see if we mix. From there, we move forward on starting to, do events together more often. Once you kind of have that foot in the door, you start calling on us for PvP. We show up, we fight with you. We give more than we take from anybody that's in our alliance. So if you are signing up to join our alliance, you are gaining more than you're contributing from me personally, because I want to make sure that you know what we're about. When the chips are down and no one else is going to come to your help, I will be there. Even if I'm there with three or four people, I will be there. But essentially, yeah, we just let them run with us. If things flow naturally, essentially, after 2, 3 months of running together consistently, we just invite them, and if they accept the invitation, they're more than welcome to run with us. If not, hey, it's business as usual. If we see you out in the open road, we'll PvP. No need for shit talking or anything like that. It's a PvP game. Things didn't work out.
Follow-up question: how do you handle, because things happen, right? Like shit happens in this game. There's resources. They will become more scarce the more guilds start taking up the same space, and in that that even applies to guilds that are allies. How would you handle two guilds, even if it's your guild, especially because you run the guild? If you had a difference with another guild in your alliance, a diplomatic difference, right? Like say a territory difference of how they want to run their territory and how you guys interact with it,
Yeah, two people trying to farm the same node, right, or the same riser
or
camp or the
something
throne.
like that. Exactly.
Here's how I look at it. We're all our own guilds where we can cooperate even though we work as one giant unit. But we also have the same mindset of if we're gonna go do a troll together, let's go do them as a group, right? Let's go do troll spider, troll spider 6 times in a row, and then we can split the loot evenly at the end if we're fighting over the same nodes. If you're trying to farm the kelks and you want to go farm kelks and it's in our area, well, my guys have access to the kelks all the time. We'll let you guys farm over here because you're over here farming. Right. But if it's something where it's like, we're farming prominence and we're hitting the troll and they know that we have the troll timer for 20 minutes and want to come over, they can do it with us, or because we are already here and it's within our zone, we're gonna hit the troll. But most of the times, most people have the same mindset in our alliance where it's like instead of competing, let's share the resource. Because at the end of the day, it all goes to the same thing, right? The same battles. We all bring the same gear. And a lot of times if I do an all call because of the amount of logistics I have, I provide everything, right? I don't make people bring their stuff if they want to, they can to help ease the load off of what we have. But that also fosters the same mutual respect to where, hey, companions want to go hit the troll, but MKRG have been hitting all day. Well, maybe they'll go do Clothos because they don't want to take that content away from us, but they don't want to share it, right? So there's multiple avenues and ways, and it's usually like a fluid situation if something like that pops up. But I'm also active enough to nip it in the butt and built up the mutual respect between all the leaders of the guild to so where we all have the same mindset to where stuff like that doesn't arise, right? We've been working together for several months now, and nothing like that has even remotely come to fruition. A lot of it's just the mindset, right? I did watch some of the interview you did with Bowden, and he even said during the time that he had the alliance with the Covenant that people would run across each other and want to take those spots from each other, and it creates that friction. Well, we've created the mindset to bypass that where there's never that friction. It's, oh, you're hitting Riser Camp? Let me come join you. Or you're hitting Riser Camp? All right, well, have you guys hit the Outlaw that's down the way, or have you hit the Troll? No? Okay, we're gonna go farm that way. You guys are farming Risers.
So, is there anything you'd like to ask me?
Um, oh, you got me. That's a curveball right there. All right, well, where do you see the game and community 6 months from now, from what you've experienced by talking to all the leaders? Do you think we're on a good track, or do you think that maybe one or two mega guilds are going to take over everything and the game's going to become unfun?
That is definitely a possibility for sure. Um, I don't know though. From after talking to people, I think a lot of people understand the balance of how things should, how things could be. Not pushing things too far where it's to its detriment. I think most of the people that are coming up in leadership, I think especially TC, I think TC is going to push people in these leadership roles uh, to the top, right? You're going to see people who weren't in leadership positions before, I think they're going to rise up. I think that people who have been in like stagnant, positions, they're going to go away. You're just going to see better leaders rise up across the map.
You're forced into action. Yes, fight or flight, fight or flight. You're forced into action once those boulders hit in your stronghold.
Yes, exactly. Because of TC, essentially, is on every level. Fighters, leaders, all that. So the things that exist now, a lot of them just aren't going to exist. So that's what I think. I think there's going to be a huge conflict. Like, I think we all know that. Maybe not right away, but it's going to happen. And then that's the cream of the crop. It's going to start rising up. And it's going to be completely different. I think there's a lot of positivity that I'm seeing actually, and I think that's going to start spreading more. Where, again, with the things you were saying about, keeping the friendship within your guild and your alliance and breeding that, and I'm seeing that in other guilds too, where that's become the priority and helping. Not just shitting on new players, right? Like if someone sees untagged players that don't know what they're doing, I'm seeing that a lot. Where like even like just PK guilds are like, hey, like let's give these people some time to breathe a little bit at least. No one's gonna take it the hard way or whatever. But I don't know. I see it in a good place in 6 months. Really, I see it in the best it's ever been.
I feel like in 2 years, as long as the player base progresses in the right direction, this game will be the best MMO ever to be made. Um, but you need people like me, even people like the Enclave, people who are willing to say, I'm not going to bend the knee to one of the big three alliances and allow them to take over. And people with just the right mindset that want to create a community for the game and actually, make the game last and develop into something that's just not a toxic shit show. MKRG is about creating a alternative choice for the game to where if you're looking for that group again, that you don't want to be told what to do 24/7, you're looking just for a group of friends to enjoy the game with and get the most out of your experience with your gameplay. Um, this might be the right home for you. You don't have to run around in one of the Zergs, or you don't have to be under someone who rules with an iron fist and treats you like garbage. We're looking for all types of players. If you're casual, hardcore, PvP, Fisher, it doesn't matter. There's a place for you within our guild as long as you're willing to just have the right mindset. You don't have a toxic ideology, and you just want to be a part of a community that plans on being a part of the game for the next however long the game runs. Because we ain't going anywhere.
Fuck bitches, get money.